There are stories in the Bible that challenge everything we thought we knew about God, angels, and mankind. One of the most mysterious and most controversial is found in the early pages of Genesis, a story of heavenly beings, earthly women, and offspring that changed the course of history. Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 and 2 says, "And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose." Who were these sons of God? And why would they desire human women? The Hebrew term used here is B'nai Elohim, the same term used in the book of Job to describe heavenly beings, angelic entities who stand before God. This was not a poetic phrase. It was a literal description of divine beings descending to earth, not just to watch, but to interact and to take women as wives. And from this unholy union came something terrifying. Genesis 6 verse 4 continues, "There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown." These hybrid beings were known as the Nephilim, part divine, part human. Giants, warriors, beings that inspired ancient legends. This was no small event. It was a divine boundary being crossed, a heavenly rebellion spilling into human history. But why did this happen? The Book of Enoch, an ancient Jewish text referenced by early Christians and the writer of Jude, gives deeper insight. It says that 200 heavenly watchers, led by a powerful being named Samjoza, descended on Mount Hermon. They made a pact to defy God together, to take human wives and create offspring. They taught mankind forbidden knowledge, sorcery, astrology, weapon-making, and seductive arts. And their children, the Nephilim, became tyrants on the earth. This corruption spread like wildfire, poisoning the earth with violence, sorcery, and bloodshed. And so, God judged it. Genesis 6 verse 5 says, "And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and it repented the Lord that he had made man." The flood of Noah wasn't just about human sin. It was divine judgment on a spiritual rebellion, a cleansing of the hybrid offspring, and the angelic rebellion that defiled the earth. 2 Peter 2 verse 4 confirms this when it says, "God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness." These are not metaphorical angels. These are the sons of God who crossed the line, abandoned their heavenly estate, and were punished for it. Jude verse 6 says the same. "And the angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment." Let's pause for a moment. We often think of heaven as a perfect, orderly realm. But the Bible shows us that even in heaven, some beings rebelled. Not once, but multiple times. This particular rebellion was not led by Satan. It was different. It was about lust, desire, and the corruption of God's creation. These angels weren't trying to tempt mankind. They wanted to merge with mankind. And the result? Beings that were never meant to exist. The flood wiped out the Nephilim, but not entirely. Genesis 6 verse 4 hints at something chilling. It says, "And also after that." In other words, the Nephilim returned after the flood. In Numbers 13:33, the spies sent into Canaan say, "And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the Nephilim." This means the bloodline continued, perhaps through the wives of Noah's sons or another hidden rebellion. This explains why God commanded total destruction in certain cities. It wasn't just war. It was divine cleansing of corrupted bloodlines. This story has echoes in ancient myths. Tales of gods coming down, mating with women, and producing demigods. Could those myths be distorted memories of a true event? And if so, could the same forces be at work today? Jesus said in Matthew 24 verse 37, "As it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be at the coming of the Son of Man." What were those days like? A time of unnatural unions, a time of giants, a time of spiritual and physical corruption. And now, in our generation, the lines between man and machine are being blurred. Artificial intelligence, genetic modification, transhumanism. Are we entering a new era of forbidden mixing? The story of the sons of God and the daughters of men is more than history. It is a warning, a whisper from the ancient past, a reminder that not everything spiritual is holy, that not every supernatural being is on God's side, and that even heaven has had its rebels. But in the end, God remains in control. The angels who crossed the line are bound in darkness. The Nephilim were defeated, and the Redeemer, Jesus Christ, came not just to save mankind, but to restore creation and judge every rebellious being. The heavens are watching, the earth remembers, and the ancient whispers still echo. In our next episode, we'll go even deeper. The day God held court, when Satan stood among the sons of God to accuse a man. Subscribe. Share this with the curious, and never stop listening to the whispers of the past.